probate?
So probate is the legal process that we go through to transfer assets from deceased people to living people. You know, while you're alive, you control the things that you own. You can sign title to them, you can manage them and such. When you die, there's then a question mark of, well, who owns title to this now? Probate answers that question. And so it does so, it exists for two reasons. One, we want to make sure that if you owe people money, that they have an opportunity to get paid. And so probate really is the forum, the exclusive forum for those people to step forward and say, hey, Kelly owed me money, and so before you give her money away to her kids, you should pay us. So that's one function of probate. The second function of probate is to make sure that the heirs have an opportunity to step forward and say, I'm entitled to money here as well, so that someone's not left out, so that someone isn't declared to be an heir, or someone's not telling the court about something. That's really why we have probate, and it's a rather lengthy and archaic process designed to accomplish those two goals. The third goal, if you will, for estates that have wills is to make sure that the will is valid, so that it's a forum also for if people want to challenge the validity of the will, they can do so in the probate. A court actually overlooks that will to say this meets the requirements, and so this will determine now who owns these assets, or this doesn't meet the requirements, in which case then the estate is what we call an intestate estate, meaning an estate where someone died without a will. So that's really the three things that we do with probate. But the short answer is
it's put in place for fairness. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was kind of asking a question, so it's kind of put in place for fairness to people to get the debts to get paid, what's owed, and then people, the heirs, to get there.
And so that we can have a valid record of title that we can rely on. So whenever someone buys a piece of property that your name is on and you're deceased, you can't rise up from the grave to sign that deed. So the court basically says, okay, well, now that Kelly is deceased, this is now the new owner. So when someone wants to then buy that property, they know who they're dealing with. And more importantly, they're not lying awake at night worried about, well, is there somebody else out there? Is there some creditor? Is there some other heir? So we can rely on a chain of title. And probably even as important as me relying on that chain of title is our banks can rely on that title, so that they can feel comfortable loaning money on a car, loaning money on real estate, so that they aren't worried about, you know, does this person actually have valid title or not. Probate really resolves and answers those questions.
And you've written a book about it, so this probably tells all about probate in this book?
More than you'd want to know.
The probate book.
It's the probate book. That's right. Yeah, it's written for consumers, and so it's certainly. And by the way, we make that available for listeners or viewers on this. I think the price of this normally is about $20 or so, but you can get one free if you'll text the word probate to 601-600-2662. And we can give you a free copy of that book. So we'd be happy to do that if that's something you're interested in. You could also call our office at 601-ELDER-LAW. And so either of those.
Bring that number on the screen. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah. So either way, you can get a free copy of that book.
So they can call 601-ELDER-LAW to get a free copy of this book. That is worth $20. And they can text the other number. We'll put that number in the comments if you missed it, or you can go back and watch it later. 601-600-2662. Just text the word probate, and then we'll ask you how to send that to you, and we'll get that information from you and send it to you. All right. Melinda Dees is asking us about the weather. Melinda, the only way I can tell you about the weather is if I get my phone and go to our WLBT weather app, free weather app, by the way. Let us know where you're watching from. Maybe I'll check that out while he's answering our questions here for you. All right. First question from the Ask the Experts page is, when do I have to go through probate?
Well, obviously when someone dies, but it won't be the deceased person going through probate. It's going to be their heirs generally going through probate. So the probate process really is anytime there's a question as to who owns title. And so certainly if the title is held just in the name of the deceased person, that's when we go through the probate process. If the asset's not owned by that deceased person, then it's not the part of their estate. It doesn't go through the probate process. Sometimes that's because the property is jointly owned. There's like joint tenants with rights to survivorship. And so that in that case, then the survivor is the owner. There's no reason to probate that. Other times the property has pay on death designations, so a beneficiary named. And then again, that property also would not have to go through the probate process because it passes by declaration of title or by declaration of law, depending on the circumstance. And so we don't have to go through probate. But other than that, if the deceased person owns assets at the time of their death in order to get clean title to those assets, make sure that the creditors are taken care of and they don't have some claim, make sure that all the heirs are identified and that it passes to the right people, make sure that the document, if there is a will, is valid, that probate really handles that. That's what probate's for.